Hi friends, so glad to have you back. This is our See the Light, Yes You Can Draw Club. This is club meeting number 8. I'm Pat Nepley, I'm your master artist. I'll be with you through all of these club meetings. Hey, the last time we were together, we talked about space, positive and negative space. Remember, you cut out the heart, and so you had positive space represented by the black heart as well as by the white hole left behind in the paper. It's really important as a beginning artist you always be thinking about how you're using the space of your drawing. Today we're going to be doing something really fun, taking what we've learned so far in all of our club meetings, line, shape, and space, and putting them all together in a planned composition. So let's go over what it is you'll need for today's club meeting. You'll need a pencil, a larger piece of paper if you have it, a great eraser, and you'll need some leaves of all different shapes and sizes. Now that might be difficult for you where you live, so if you need to, pause this, go out on a quick nature walk, and come back when you have some leaves. I have some leaves here. The cool thing is, depending on where you live, all the leaves you gathered will be different. And that's great, because we've studied shape and how different shapes are, and the combination of different shapes can make a great drawing. This is probably the most basic shape of a leaf, but as you can see here, there's some leaf shapes that are really quite intricate and complicated. What we're going to be doing today is a composition that incorporates line and shape and space. So take a look at this. Here's a leaf drawing that's finished. Contour drawing in that we have the edges. We're not worried about shading or color, but we want to pay careful attention to line, such as the lines that represent the veins in the leaves, the beautiful shapes of the leaves. Some are simple shapes and some are more complicated shapes, and the space of our overall drawing, the positive space and how it's combined and arranged that creates negative space, the space in between. I could keep on going with this drawing, adding in more leaves. But you get the idea. We're going to create a drawing that has multiple leaves spread across the space so that we're paying careful attention to shape and space and line. Now you might only have a few leaves in your hand, but that's the cool thing about drawing with objects around you. You can take just one leaf and repeat it over and over, changing the direction and the size to make it what you want as long as you have this as your subject matter. So we're going to start with a very basic leaf. I'm going to use this one. If you don't have any leaves nearby where you live, don't have your hands on some right now, that's okay. You can use the leaf shapes that I have. This is the most basic shape of a leaf, so let's start with that. And I think I'm going to put it, about here. And it's just like a football shape that's stretched out to a real pointy point. Don't forget the stem. That's what really makes it known as a leaf. Now I'm just going to put in a few shapes, this exact same shape, but I'll just change the way it's oriented on the paper. Now I know you're going to be tempted to want to trace the leaves, but this isn't a tracing class, this is a drawing club. I want you to really observe and draw the leaves that you see. I think I'm going to make this one a little bigger. Same shape, just a little bigger. Now God designed leaves to be amazing things. There's very fine lines in every leaf. Those are the veins of the leaf, and that's what carries nutrition to the leaf when it's on the tree. So you're going to want to put in all those great details. Now the best way to get those fine details is to make sure your pencil is sharpened. So if you need to do that before you do those fine lines, go ahead and sharpen your pencil. You're also going to want to keep your lines light. By paying careful attention to the details of the leaf, That's what makes it a leaf and not some other shape. Okay, that's a really simple shape. What about when it comes time to do maybe a more complicated shape? This particular leaf, you'll notice, is very round. So, if you go back to one of our earlier club meetings, we talked about finding the basic shape first. You can do that with this project as well. Supposing I look at that and I say, wow, that's almost a circle. Very lightly, with your pencil, draw a circle first. And then looking at the details that make it not a circle, like this point at the top and a stem at the bottom, I can change this into my leaf shape. And erase the lines that I don't want. Now, it's not a leaf, of course, until it has those fine lines of the veins. Sharpened pencil, light touch. Slide your fingers back so that you can't put a lot of pressure, and that's how you'll get nice, light lines. Now, right now, you'll notice I have 3 items that are positive space and a lot of negative space around them. What I'd like you to do for this project is to use overlap. And that's where 2 leaves are going to overlap each other. There'll be no negative space in between. Now, why would we want to do that? Well, one of the things that you get with overlap is it creates depth. So this leaf up here, you'll notice, overlaps onto this large leaf. And that creates the illusion that they're laying on top of each other. And that creates interest in your drawing. Now, sometimes you might want to scatter subject matter around your space and have a lot of negative space in between. That's okay. But for today, I'd like you to overlap one of your leaves. Now, to get good at doing this, you're simply going to draw a leaf on top. Don't worry about the lines covering each other, on top of another leaf. So suppose I'm going to do this leaf and I want it to overlap our basic leaf. Just go ahead and draw the shape that you see. And you'll erase the lines you don't want. Decide what leaf has the nicer shape that's going to be on top. I like my basic leaf shape, so I'm going to erase the lines I drew of the other leaf. So now it looks like this leaf is under our basic shape. And that's overlap. That creates depth. So as you're planning out your drawing, it's important to be thinking of the things we've talked about before, like positive and negative space, and the fine details of the lines. One of the things that you can do in your leaf drawing is create focus. Do you remember at our last club meeting we talked about how sometimes with a little bit of positive space in a big drawing, like the pig drawing by Picasso, you create focus. What do you want your viewer to look at? I've decided I like this big leaf with all the detail. That's what I want to be my focus. So there's a couple ways you can do that. One is by size. I've made that the largest leaf on my drawing. One way is to isolate it all by itself. Supposing I wanted to make this the focus, I would overlap a lot of other leaves and leave this guy all by itself, surrounded by negative space. Another way to create focus is to have just one leaf in the center of your drawing. Since we're doing a collection of leaves so that you can pay careful attention to the different shapes and all the lines, I want you to have a lot of leaves on your drawing, but you get to decide how you're going to arrange them. That's planning your composition. Let's talk about detail. One of the ways you can proceed with this drawing is by doing what we call a staged drawing. That means you take it step by step. So you start with just the shapes first, no details, no fine lines. You do the arrangement of all of the shapes in the space, making sure you balance your positive and negative space. Then, when you're happy with that arrangement and you know you want to get into some detail, then sharpen your pencil and start to do all of these really fine lines that represent the veins of the leaves. Detail is a really important thing. It makes a drawing special. But you know what? Detail is really important to God, too. There's a great verse in Matthew. Let me show you. In the book of Matthew 10, verse 30, it says, "And even the very hairs of your head are numbered." God cares about all of the fine details of our lives. He knows how many hairs we have on our head. That's pretty incredible. He knows every star that's in the galaxy because He created them. And He knows all the details of your life, your innermost thoughts, the silent prayers in your head. That's incredible that we have a God who's so big but knows all those tiny details about us. Details are really important. Now, as you go to be a better artist, because yes, you can draw, you need to spend time looking at the details. Pick up one of your leaves. This leaf looks pretty ordinary, but when I look very, very closely, I see that it has tiny little teeth. Very, very small little teeth around that edge. It's not smooth. You might have a leaf that's very waxy and very smooth around the edge. And you might have another leaf that has teeth or serrations around the edge. Now pay attention to those details, because when you get to that stage of your drawing, after all your basic shapes are in, and you're getting ready with your very sharp pencil to put in details, that's when you can go back and put in the details that make it a leaf, the little teeth around the edge of the leaf. And because you've drawn lightly, you can erase what you don't want to show in your final drawing. So it goes back again to careful observation. We talked about this before, drawing what you see, spending time really looking at your subject matter so you can get the details. And isn't it great to know that your attention to the details is just like God our Father who created us, who pays careful attention to all the details. Great. We had a great time today. I hope you'll continue. Finish your large leaf composition. In fact, during this time before our next club meeting, why don't you do another collection drawing? Similar subject matter spread across the paper using line and shape and space. It could be the items in your pocket, like a key and a coin and a stick of gum. It could be all the things that are on your desk, like a pencil, a pen, and a tape dispenser and a pair of scissors. But put the collected items all together and arrange them so that you're paying careful attention to each unique shape and the positive and negative space. Great to have you join me today. We're going to sign off now, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.